If today was 15th of March 2011, that's when the protests started to escalate and grow, what would you do differently?
What I would do what I did
exactly
on the 15th of March, exactly the same. To ask the different parties to have dialogue and to stand against the terrorists, because that's how it started. It didn't start as marches. The cover was, the umbrella was marches, but within those marches you had militants who started shooting the civilians and the army at the same time.
Well, we all heard about the mother who has two sons. One son is fighting for the government forces, another one is fighting for the rebel forces. How is this not a civil war?
You have division, but division doesn't mean civil war. It's completely different. Civil war should be based on ethnicical problem or sectarian problem. Sometimes you may have sectarian or ethnicical tension, and tension doesn't mean problem. So if you have division in the same family or in a bigger tribe or whatever, or in the same city, it doesn't mean civil war. This is completely different.
Who exactly is your enemy at this point?
My enemy is terrorism, the instability in Syria. This is our enemy. It's not about people. It's not about persons.
There has been so many stories about almighty Syrian army, omnipotent Syrian secret services. But then we see that, the government forces aren't able to crush the enemy like people expected it would. And we see terrorist attacks take place in the middle of Damascus almost every day. Were there myths about the Syrian army and about the strong Syrian secret services?
Usually when you have army, when you have secret intelligence, these things should focus on external enemy, not internal enemy. Even if you have internal enemy like terrorism, you have society that could help you, at least not to provide the terrorists with incubator. In that case, it's a new kind. We have a new kind of war. Terrorism through proxies, either Syrians living in Syria or foreigner fighters coming from abroad.
Why do you have so many enemies in the Arab world?
They're not enemies. Some of them, the majority of the Arab governments support Syria in their heart, but they don't dare to say that explicitly.
Why not?
Under pressure by the West, sometimes under pressure by the petrodollar in the Arab world.
Who supports you from the Arab world?
Many countries support Syria by their heart, but they don't dare to say that explicitly. But first of all, Iraq plays a very active role in supporting Syria during the crisis because it's a neighboring country, and they understand and they recognize that if you have war inside Syria, you will have war in the neighboring country, including Iraq. I think other countries, they have good position like Algeria, Oman, mainly. Those are the countries. And other countries, I wouldn't count all of them.
President al-Assad, how do you see yourself in 10 years' time?
In 10 years, through my country, I cannot see myself. I can see my country in 10 years' time. This is where I can see myself. More
do you see yourself in Syria?
Definitely. I have to be in Syria. It's not about the position. I don't see myself whether president or not. That's not my interest. I could see myself in this country, safe country, stable country, more prosperous country.
This is from the New York Times this morning. Syria's leaders amassed one of the world's largest stockpiles of chemical weapons with help from the Soviet Union and Iran, as well as Western European suppliers, and even a handful of American companies, according to American diplomatic cables and declassified intelligence records. You have amassed one of the largest supplies of chemical weapons in the world.
To have or not to have is a possibility, but to depend on what the media say is nonsense.
Then why do you have such a stockpile of chemical weapons?
We don't discuss this issue in public because we never said that we have it, and we never said that we don't have it.
Do you consider chemical warfare equivalent to nuclear warfare?
I don't know, we haven't tried either.
Yeah, but you know, you're a head of state and you understand the consequences of weapons that don't discriminate.
Technically,
that
they're
are
not
beyond
Yeah, technically they're not the same, but morally it's the same.
Morally they're the same.
They have the same, but at the end, killing is killing.
What was the reality on August 21st? What happened in your judgment?
We're not in the area where the alleged chemical attack was happened, as it alleged. We're not sure that anything happened.
Even at this date, you are not sure that chemical weapons, even though you have seen the videotape, even though you've seen the bodies, even though your own officials have been there.
I haven't finished. Our soldiers in another area were attacked chemically. Our soldiers. They went to the hospital as casualties because of chemical weapons.
Does that mean that you don't have control of your own chemical weapons and that perhaps they are falling into the hands of other people who might want to use them?
That implies that we have chemical weapons first.
Yes.
That implies that it's being used second. So we cannot answer this question until we answer the first part and the second part. Third, let's presume that a country or army have these weapons. These kind of armaments cannot be used by infantry, for example, or by anyone. These kind of armament should be used by specialized units. So it cannot be in the hand of anyone.
Well, exactly, and that's the point.
Which is controlled centrally.
So you were saying that if in fact your government did it, you would know about it and would have approved it.
I'm talking about general case.
Okay, everywhere generally you're saying if in fact it happened, I would have known about it and approved it.
Generally,
that's the nature of centralized power.
In every country, yes.
Everything they could say bad about a dictator, they're now saying about you.
First of all, when you have a doctor who cut the leg to prevent the patient from the gangrene, if you have to, we don't call him butcher, we call him a doctor. And we thank him for saving the lives. When you have terrorism, you have war. When you have war, you always have innocent lives that could be the victim of any war. So you cannot talk about. We don't have to discuss what the image in the West before discussing the image within Syria. That's the question.
There was a report recently that you had talked about, or someone representing you had talked about some kind of deal in which you and your family would leave the country if you were guaranteed safe passage, if you were guaranteed there would be no criminal prosecution. Mm-hmm. You're aware of these reports?
Yeah. We have this guarantee from the first day of the crisis.
Because of the way you've acted?
No, because the agenda that I talked about, some of these agendas wanted me to quit. Very simply. So they said, we have all the guarantees if you want to leave, and all the money and everything you want.
Do you or do you not have chemical weapons?
First of all, regarding what Obama and Kerry said, I dare them to say that we said no once. We never said it.
You never said.
No. We never said. We never
tell
said.
Us now.
We never said no. We never said yes.
Can
we
you
always say yeah, but we always say it's classified issue. We don't have to discuss it. And if we want to talk about it, we say if. And if means you may have it, you may not. So this is blatant lie.
Okay, but can you tell us now? Do you have chemical weapons or don't you?
Yes, when we joined the treaty last week, it means that we have, and we said that. So it's not a secret anymore.
Since it is the United States which demanded that you give up chemical weapons, would you be prepared to turn over your chemical weapons to the U.S. government for the purposes of safely destroying those weapons?
As I said, it needs a lot of money. It needs about $1 billion. It's very detrimental to the environment. If the American administration is ready to pay those money and to take the responsibility of bringing toxic materials to the United States, why don't they do it? But of course it's going to be in cooperation with the specified organization in the United Nations.
But you're prepared to hand them over at some point for the safe destruction of them?
Doesn't matter where, as I said, at the end, if you're going to destroy them, doesn't matter where they go.
Are there any conditions?
No, we don't have any condition to send it anywhere. At the end, if it's going to be destroyed, it could be destroyed anywhere. It's, as I said, it's very detrimental to the environment. So whoever country is ready to take the risk of those materials, let them take it.
Mr. President, you've lost control of large areas of Syria. The jihadist group that calls itself Islamic State has emerged. There are perhaps 200,000 Syrians dead, millions have lost their homes. The UN envoy, Staffan de Mistura, has called this the most serious humanitarian crisis in the world since the Second World War. Has Syria become a failed state?
No, as long as the government and the state institutions fulfilling its duty toward the Syrian people, you cannot talk about failed states. Talking about losing control is something completely different. It's like if you have invasion of terrorists coming from abroad, and the government is doing its job in fighting and defending its country.
Do you think that some of the activities of the Syrian army help create the nightmare that Syria is in right now?
If you're talking about the conflict taking the military shape, any war is a bad war. And in any war, you have civilian casualties. That's why every war is bad war. So you cannot talk about war, benign war, without casualties. That could have happened, but it's not policy. When you talk about governments, you talk about policy. What the decision that we make on political level, as I said, fighting terrorism, defending the civilians, we are defending the civilians, and making dialogue. And if we were the one who killed our people, as they say, how could we withstand 4 years while the people are against us, supposedly, and the West and the regional countries, and I spent 4 years in my position with the government, with the army, with the institution, without public support? That's impossible. That's mentally unpalatable.
But I've also interviewed people, and so have many other journalists and human rights people and so on, who say that they have suffered badly at the hands of Syrian soldiers. They can't all have been lying, surely.
How surely? Why are you sure?
Well, because the weight of testimony, Human Rights Watch, for example, 30th of January this year, has said that forces loyal to Bashar al-Assad, quote, have deliberately and viciously attacked civilians in opposition-held areas using indiscriminate weapons, notoriously barrel bombs.
This is childish story that keep repeating in the West.
It's childish.
Childish. Why? Again, if somebody who's against his people and again the regional power and the great powers in the West and survive, how? If you kill the Syrian people, they support you or they become against you. As long as you have the public support, it means you are defending the people. If you kill the people, they will be against you.
What keeps you awake at night?
What keeps me awake at night? Many reasons that could affect any human life. Could be personal, could be your work.
Your job?
Could be your job, could be personal. Like I'm a human. What could any human be affected by? I will be affected with the same factors.
%90 of the civilian casualties, 90% come from the Syrian army.
How did you get that result?
That was a report that was issued in the last 6 months.
Okay, as I said earlier, the war is not traditional war. It's not about capturing land and gaining land. It's about winning the hearts and minds of the Syrians. We cannot win the heart of minds of the Syrians while we are killing Syrians.
You know, barrel bombs have been used, and they come from helicopters. And the only people who have helicopters is the Syrian army.
It's very important. This is part of the malicious propaganda against Syria. Because, as you know, in the media, when it bleeds, it leads. And they always look for something that bleeds, which is the chlorine gas and the barrel bomb. This is very important, the barrel bomb. What a barrel bomb? They said barrel bombs as a bomb that kills people indiscriminately. This is not, because it doesn't aim. This is not realistic for one reason, because no army uses bomb that doesn't aim. And the proof to what I'm saying, that you don't talk about the shape of a bomb to call it barrel or cylindrical or whatever. The state-of-the-art drones, American drones in Pakistan, Afghanistan, and Yemen, with the state-of-the-art precision missile, has killed more civilians and innocents than killing terrorists. So it's not about this bomb that doesn't aim, that kills discriminately.
Most people understand what a barrel bomb is. I mean, they understand how it's put together, what's put inside of the barrel, and they understand how it's dropped from helicopters.
No, we have a very good military industry for years, for decades in Syria. We don't have to make bombs, very primitive one, very malicious one. This bomb, this term was used only to demonize the Syrian army. That's it. This is part of the propaganda.
If barrel bombs were used by the Syrian army, would you order the Syrian army to stop using barrel bombs?
Again, what this term, what the barrel bomb is? I mean, do you describe the missile that you have by being cylindrical?
It's a bomb that inflicts terrible civilian casualties.
Any bomb is made, and missile and even bullet is made to make casualty, but not civilian. There's no military means was made in order not to kill. But how you use it, it's again about the way you use it. It's not about the bomb. If you want to talk about casualties, that's another issue. Every war is malignant. Every war is bad. You don't have benign war.
Are you denying that barrel bombs are being used and inflicting great casualties?
Again, I always say,
what is a barrel bomb?
We use a bomb. We use missiles. We use airplanes. We use bullets. You don't describe what we use by the shape, whether it's called barrel, spherical, cylindrical, and so on. You don't describe it this way. You use armaments. If you have casualties, it's a mistake that could happen in every war. But your aim is always to kill terrorists, not to kill your people, because you have support by your people, you cannot kill them.
But you are acknowledging that they come from helicopters, barrel bombs.
This is technical issue, military issue, how to throw. No, you can throw them.
But only one.
No. You can throw bombs by any airplane. You can throw them by missiles. You don't have to use helicopters. You can use them the way you want.
But if I hear you correctly, is that you acknowledge that their barrel bombs are being used, but they're like other bombs in your judgment, and they're not necessarily any different than other weapons. That's what you seem to be saying.
We don't have a bomb that's called barrel bombs. This name came through the media, or from the media.
Well, we can describe what it is.
We don't have it. What you call our bombs, that's related to the media. And that's used by the militants, then adopted by the West in order to demonize the Syrian army. We don't have something called barrel bombs that killed indiscriminately. If you have a strong bomb or a weak bomb or good bomb or whatever, I mean, you can call it whatever you want. We have regular bombs, traditional armaments. That's what we have.
Explain to me why people are fleeing to go to refugee camps in Jordan and Turkey. What are they fleeing from?
Actually, those
camps... The Syrian army?
No, those camps started being built before having any real conflicts in Syria. So it was premeditated.
But it's over 3 million people.
To be used as a humanitarian headline, entitled, and to be used against Syria to be a pretext for a military intervention. That's how it started. Then later they started giving incentives to people to flee there.